Wall Street seems to be at ease with Joe Biden selecting Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. The former vice president praised the California senator for her history of taking on big banks in their first joint appearance on Wednesday. As the Golden State's attorney general, Harris often worked with Biden's son Beau, who was the AG of Delaware at the time. The two pursued the financial sector, trying to shore up consumer protections. But the Wall Street Journal reports that this does not seem to scare the financial sector. They actually report that many top financiers believe Biden's pick of Harris signals that the Democratic Party's progressive wing has been fended off, and a Biden administration would not make tougher financial regulations a top priority. Emily Glazer co-wrote that article. She covers the intersection of finance, business, and politics in the 2020 campaign for the Wall Street Journal. And Emily joins us now from Southampton, New York. It's good to have you with us. So, Emily, why does Wall Street feel okay about Harris, given that she has previously tried to pursue them? And does their belief that financial regulation not being a top priority for Harris actually reflect how she campaigned or voted in the Senate or even acted as AG?
Well, first, we have to remember that one of the other potential VP picks was Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is extremely tough on banks. She's one of the founders of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and for years has called for more regulation. So Wall Street, in many ways, a number of the financial leaders I spoke with were so relieved that Elizabeth Warren and kind of that part of the Democratic Party where Bernie Sanders is far more liberal is not part of this Biden ticket. So that was a huge sigh of relief in the beginning. Something else to consider is that even though Kamala Harris has touted her tough on banks record, that was something that was a little more style than substance. She came into those negotiations when they were already underway. And while she did get a lot of money for California, some folks on Wall Street, whether banks, hedge funds, investment firms, don't feel quite as threatened about that now.
So Wall Street is happy that it's not Elizabeth Warren. But what about Joe Biden? What has he said on the campaign trail about Wall Street, and how do they react to his candidacy?
Joe Biden is viewed, as same with Kamala Harris, as more of a moderate Democrat, especially because we've seen so many more progressive candidates come through in the primary season last year. Joe Biden has said, during his fundraisers, similar to Kamala Harris, that they're not planning to punish people for being wealthy, but if there's wrongdoing, then people will be prosecuted. But I think that bankers and folks on Wall Street, many of whom are wealthy, many of whom have, looked and seen what's gone on with taxes and how businesses are treated, they don't think that they're going to be punished just for being rich. And I think that's something where they feel can be a little bit easier for them. And on top of that, what's key right now is rebuilding this economy that's been upended by coronavirus. And so far, both Biden and Harris have said building up business is good for the economy. And that seems to sit well with Wall Street.
Well, can you help remind us of some of the Trump administration's efforts to roll back financial regulations? And what does Wall Street think about the potential of a Biden administration in terms of these same regulations?
When President Trump was first elected, there were a lot of people in finance. I covered big banks for 5 years who definitely were very happy. A lot of Republicans in finance. That shouldn't be surprising. And they were especially happy when Trump changed, tax reform, and they were all making a lot more money. Their businesses were making more money, or the businesses that they would do deals with were making more money. So all of that was helpful for Wall Street for quite some time. But the sense that I get from a lot of folks is right now with coronavirus changing the economy we're in and having a lot of pressure there, there's a sense that Biden, since he is viewed as more of a moderate Democrat, wouldn't necessarily hurt some of the things that Trump did that helped Wall Street. So Trump also pledged not to do additional financial regulation, and that was something that Democrats had previously threatened. So all put together, while a lot of folks on Wall Street definitely liked Donald Trump's presidency in the beginning, now that we're dealing with coronavirus and the economic pressures, there's some change of heart.
Well, when it comes to Wall Street, the most powerful way to tell how they're feeling is where they're putting their money. Where are the campaign contributions going when it comes to the wealthy, to Wall Street brokers and bankers? Are they backing Biden and Harris, or are they still really backing Trump and Pence?
There's no doubt that President Trump and Vice President Pence are still getting money from Wall Street. There are some very big Republican donors there. But there are a lot of well-established, long-time Democratic donors that are hardcore pushing for Biden and Harris. And one thing that I think Biden will get as a benefit is that there were a lot of supporters for Harris that had moved over to Biden, but not all of them. So he will be able to pick up more of the Harris supporters, or perhaps folks that gave him a little bit, but now will give in even more because they have Harris joining the ticket. So while there's been a lot of overlap in donors, and there's a question about how much more money they'll get, we saw in the first 48 hours, they raised tens of millions of dollars, and that's all leading up to the convention week. So people are expecting that the Harris being added to the ticket will undoubtedly help Biden with wealthy donors that she courted, whether in Martha's Vineyard or the Hamptons or all over America in wealthy enclaves.
All right, Emily Glazer, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.